All right, welcome back to All Hits.
It's been a minute.
It's been a long minute. We're peeping this Ben Affleck and John Bernthal interview. They're talking about Mount Rushmore, so we're gonna jump right into it.
See what they're.
What's the rapper Mount Rushmore?
Depends if you're talking about historical or I think Lil Wayne should be on it, but I also think that you're talking about Eazy-E today, we're talking about back, when we were young. A lot of them talk about Slick Rick or and of course there's Kendrick right now.
Yeah. So you got Lil Wayne, Kendrick, Slick Rick, and Easy?
Yeah, I kind of at random, but I'd take that Mount Rushmore. I'd take that.
I would take, not
Dre, that's Snoop. Yeah. There's a lot of you have a Pioneers, and then talking about
Yeah. I think you need Biggie on there. You need Tupac on there.
Tupac has to be.
Yeah,
that's true.
But I'll put Easy on there. But even though he,
That's random.
and Kendrick, but I love that you put Lil Wayne on there.
Tupac would be the all-time though.
Yeah.
It was my son played me this song the other day, and he was like, "Yo, you heard this?" And he played me "Hit 'Em Up." I was like, "Have I heard this?" What do you think I fucking,
Yeah.
I was like, I had a whole life I fucking lived before you.
It's all pissed.
I'm like, yeah. Have you heard? I'm like, yes, I've heard music. What do you think I was doing before you were born? You got NWA as an entity could occupy one spot.
That's right.
Maybe,
I would put NWA,
Yeah, they have a fat round Mount Rushmore.
Wow.
I know, it's like a 30-person Mount Rushmore.
It was worst.
Oh, worst of all time?
Worst of all time.
Okay,
Yeah,
bet.
okay, we're good there. I'm gonna have to watch it. It actually seems they're both cool, like you said, cool dudes. So
Yeah,
it'd be
cool,
pretty
dude. So it'd be a good watch. Maybe we could find a...
Do you think they had, would you think that it was either a cut, or do you think they had producers in their ear, or... So after Ben Affleck stated his Rushmore, or whatever, just the names he was throwing out.
Yeah.
Then John Bernthal was like, so is that your list? That's your list right there? And he was like, yeah, I guess. Do you think that was rushed, or what the fuck?
It seems like he was just throwing names out there, and then he was kind of like, so that's who you're taking, and he was just kind of like, yeah, it was random, but I'll take that. And they just started talking more about it.
Because then he said Tupac's the greatest of all time, and I'm like, well, that wasn't even the first name. You didn't even name him.
Yeah, it seemed a little bit random.
Where
to
they
be
and at that too, they're both from. Let me see. Ben Affleck. Of course, he probably grew up in L.A. because
my son played.
Because he was in Hollywood. Oh no, he's from Berkeley. Okay, that makes sense. And then John Bernthal naming Biggie naming Biggie first makes sense, because I think John Bernthal's from the East Coast. He's from.
Yeah, you gotta I almost would still argue that those two dudes have to be on the Mount Rushmore, because if you're looking at Mount Rushmore too, right? You have George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, probably two of the most familiar faces in American history, especially in terms of presidents. That's who you think of when you think of American presidents, I would say.
Yeah, of course.
From a historical perspective. So I feel just for that reason, you kind of got to go Pac and Biggie, I would say that they set the tone for so much shit. They were both the poster children for really, really good rap for so long. Even extending into, maybe not extending into now. Things have changed so much. But I think it's a good starting point to be because obviously you're not this Mount Rush, they're not adding presidents otherwise. And if it was based on just I don't know, quality of president, it would be a much different mountain.
I bet.
So that's why I'm kind of Mount Rushmore, if I'm being a logistical nerd about it. I'm not necessarily putting my top 4.
Oh.
I'm putting the faces of hip hop.
Okay, so it's if you're saying...
or the faces of rap, I guess.
So it's in basketball, if you're saying who are the most iconic players, you're not necessarily saying who are the best players. Sometimes the icons are the best, but...
Yeah, and I think both can be true. But who's on Mount Rushmore, dude? Who are the other two guys?
Yeah, I was gonna say it.
I was trying to be I don't... Okay, so if we're talking so Teddy Roosevelt, obviously super well known. They did him dirty on Mount Rushmore too. He's super square-headed. If you think of Mount Rushmore, it's actually kind of a crazy concept.
Yeah, because you're just gonna pick 4 too. That's kind of crazy.
And like they kind of like they sculpted that into a mountain as wild.
Okay, look, peep this, and then let's rephrase. All right, so like I had GPT. I wrote, explain the presidential Mount Rushmore in hip hop terms, criteria wise.
Okay,
And then it said,
that's a good prompt.
the concept of a Mount Rushmore of hip hop is a way to crown the foremost influential or legendary rappers in hip hop history, modeled after the real Mount Rushmore, which features whatever. Here's how the criteria typically breaks down. Number 1, foundational impact, like George Washington, who laid the groundwork for the culture, pioneers whose contributions shaped the genre's early sound, style, and cultural identity. Examples: Grandmaster Flash, Rakim, KRS-One, or Tupac. I feel like Rakim fits. I've heard a lot of rappers talk a lot about Rakim from that standpoint.
Yeah, Rakim could totally be up there for sure. Because he was like light years ahead of his time too. Like he was fucking spitting crazy
Probably
shit.
same with Slick Rick. Okay, then in that sense, I kind of, all right, Ben,
Yeah.
you get a point. 2, growth and expansion, like Thomas Jefferson, who helped evolve hip hop musically or commercially. This person made the genre more complex, artistic, or widespread.
Okay.
I feel like you could probably give that to to Dre.
To Dre. Yeah, I mean he did make it way more widespread, popularized it in a different way.
Or just like the whole NWA like that. But that's kind of tough to pinpoint, right? Because
like who pushed the genre forward?
yeah, I mean, because I would probably say who do you think first made it like super commercially successful?
That's why I would kind of argue Pac, dude. Because I feel like even when NWA was popping, it was really like local. Like they were blowing up and doing huge numbers.
You
and
don't think it was more so Dre with what was their label again?
with Aftermath?
Death Row? No, Death Row.
Oh, Death Row.
When he did
But that was
there we
Suge
go,
Knight's
like Gin
label.
and Juice and fucking.
So, but that would be, I mean, yeah, Dre found those dudes for sure. So I guess Dre was pushing a lot. Like you could argue for Dre,
But then that birthed Pac really, because it was all the same.
I'm just thinking of like the poster child of it perspective. Like I think that when you think of, like a lot of people when they think of a rapper, it's Tupac.
You could also, I think I think Pac would probably be the best choice.
Yeah.
You could also, if I had to pick a second one though, I think I might go Eminem.
Eminem, yeah.
I mean, Eminem was like, you know,
I mean, he pushed that shit like into so many different ears that otherwise wouldn't have listened to rap. And I've heard people say that so many times. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I would have never listened to rap if it wasn't for Eminem.
So those are 2 great options.
But that's also a bad thing, you know.
Yeah.
I'm just
Well, and here are the examples which I feel like are kind of Nas for lyrical structure, Kanye West genre bending, or Outkast Southern. So this is really, I guess this one, the 2, they're tackling it more from like a artistic standpoint. But I'm like, if we're just going a blend of artistry and commercial just early on, I would say Pac or Eminem.
Yeah, because if we're going like, I don't know, like who had the most, who's the most influential person in hip hop, it might be Kanye.
Yeah, for sure.
It might, like, he might have like made it infinitely more accessible on a mainstream level, made kind of rappers like kind of adhere to different things, like push the genre. He did push the genre forward in terms of like not sticking to the gangster shit and more of like the underground and kind of more like mainstream, like making it more mainstream, but like in a tasteful way, I guess. Like he was kind of pushing like a counterculture to hip hop where it was like we can be like fresh and stylish and it doesn't have to be about like the streets, like you know what I mean? So I mean you could argue him for sure. I might do that, to be honest. I might go, who did we have all the way on the left? Rakim. Yeah, I don't know, like,
I also think that, like,
who's the George Washington of rap is crazy, dude.
That is kind of crazy.
Like, who chopped the rap cherry tree, bro?
That would have to be, then we'd probably just have to go with the first one, bro. You have to go Grandmaster Flash. That's the one that did the whole Furious.
Grandmaster Flash, yeah. He was solid.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not
You
gonna
could
hold
even
you.
put
I've
Will
only-
Smith up there, and I'm just kidding.
Chill out.
I'm just kidding.
Wait, let me see. Grandmaster Flash.
Or you could do like Big Daddy Kane.
This is technically considered the first big rap song ever, right?
I don't know.
I think it is.
Let's see.
Yep.
Sugar Hill Gang. No, Rapper's Delight,
Rapper's
dude.
Delight.
The a hip, a hop, a hip to the hip, hip hop, you don't stop.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, maybe this dude. We have to throw this dude on there. He might have to be the first one, bro.
The Sugar Hill Gang?
If we're just going after the yeah, bro. I mean, he started it. I guess.
Man, I don't know.
That feels crazy, huh?
That does feel crazy. I'm like, did he start it or that was just the first hit? You know?
The first hit, bro. But I mean, George Washington didn't start America. He was just the first president.
Yeah, that's facts. Who was the first rapper? Was Kool Herc. So Kool Herc, dude. Boom, George Washington.
I mean, his name is cooler than Grandmaster Flash.
Yeah, DJ Kool Herc.
DJ Kool-Aid.
Laying the foundation for hip hop as we know it. Yeah, we gotta pick him, bro.
So this guy?
I thought he was just a DJ. I didn't know he rapped.
Nah.
But he's the one who started all this shit.
Alright, DJ Kool Herc is gonna be our George Washington, and then so who's our Thomas Jefferson? Are we picking Tupac? I think we have to pick Tupac, dude.
You think so?
Growth and expansion. No, Kanye.
Because different eras, right? But I mean, not to stick too much to the Mount Rushmore template, but like Thomas Jefferson and George Washington weren't that far apart.
That's why it should be.
Should be Tupac.
Pac maybe.
Pac, okay.
Pac.
Growth and expansion.
All right, then our third, we're gonna go. I like how this is what this disheveled into. It's just kind of cool.
Just awesome. Okay.
Like at first I thought we were gonna talk about like our personal
Our growth.
realm.
We can also.
I
do
kind
that.
of fuck with this, so it's kind of interesting. It's a nice little thought exercise. Number 3, preservation and stability, like Abraham Lincoln. I feel like this is gonna be an easy one for me, low key. I think we'll see. Who brought consistency and integrity over time, while pushing boundaries in a way that held the culture together. Jay-Z, longevity and business savvy. J. Cole, message-driven modern lyricism. Or Eminem, technical dominance and mainstream appeal. I want to say, if I had to pick, I mean, if I'm just going off of those 3, we'll introduce other options. But
Yeah.
if I'm going just off of those 3, I'm definitely picking Jay-Z.
You know, that was the first, before you even started reading, that was the first name that popped into my head, was Jay.
Just because I feel like Eminem, I still like Eminem. I don't know how well he aged over time.
Yeah, and I mean, the consistency was dope. He definitely was super influential. What was the other thing that it said? Like, brought stability
Yeah.
and consistency to the game. Yeah, I feel like he was a lot of people's goats for a long time.
Yeah.
He was super consistent. He was always quality. And he didn't really have this period of being like, what the fuck was that, you know? And he kind of like was still able to drop hits after a certain amount of time. Always kept the bars tight. Yeah, I mean, I would like to throw Jay-Z up there, just especially for his longevity, you know?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who else I would like to put up in that category, and I think maybe.
You could have honestly. This also could have been another Kanye one.
This could have been a Kanye one. This could have been a.
Emphasis on could have been. I think that kind of got ended a while ago.
Yeah. Because again, we're not just talking about skills or music. We're talking about like for the whole culture at large. You know, like what did you bring to the table like throughout the history of everything.
Oh yeah, bro. If anybody's gonna give presidential vibes, it's definitely
Jay.
Jay-Z.
Yeah.
1000%.
I'm trying to think of anybody that would even compare to Jay-Z in that category.
Yeah, it is kind of nuts, huh?
Hip hop, Abe Lincoln.
We could have even said.
Because everybody kind of had like a peak and a fall, and
Yeah,
he's kind of been like very.
You could.
He had like a peak and a hangout.
Yeah, I feel like Wayne's been doing it so long, but I feel like the latter end has also been a little spotty.
Yeah, I mean,
can't
there's
really
definitely like some quality differences amongst like his initial rise.
Well, that's the thing is also Jay-Z, like whether it's our personal favorite project or not, I think Jay-Z never puts out anything that's low quality.
Yeah, that's facts.
Honestly, I mean, I think now, as of right now, it's too early, but eventually Kendrick could probably be in
Yeah,
the
I think-
stability.
I think so too. I mean, because
Consistency.
he knew that he was always dropping. Like, you always know he's gonna bring something good and culture bending to the table, and it's gonna push it forward and
I
get
mean, he's
people
even.
going.
You could even argue he's even more culture bending than Jay-Z.
Yeah, for sure, and a lot more. Like, even though like Jay is the blueprint guy, like I think that Kendrick actually these days is more the blueprint guy. Like, he kind of sets the tone for what everybody else is gonna do. But you could also throw Kanye there. I mean, obviously with the recent years, we can't throw Kanye there. But I feel like if they made this during Kanye's prime, it would have been him or Jay there, and I think that's it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Jay-Z.
I'm gonna go Jay, but with the caveat that I think eventually Kendrick might be a better fit
for that role.
Yeah.
The torch can pass. All right, now last one.
Legacy and influence, like Theodore Roosevelt.
Okay.
Hip hop translation. Who's had a lasting influence on new generations, whether stylistically, culturally, or in terms of leadership in the industry?
I think that one has to be Kanye.
I'm going Kanye, or unpopular opinion, I think Wayne's a great fit for that as well.
Yeah.
Wayne's influence, whether good or bad, because honestly, there's a lot of that influence is.
I mean,
was a
kind of
bad
like
thing.
the more modern day sound could be attributed more to Wayne.
100%.
You know, like I think if we're looking in that perspective of like where the sound has gone over time, like Wayne is probably the bigger influence, like the bigger like kind of catalyst to the Young Thugs and the Cardis and the things like that we're seeing more so now.
Honorable mention, Future.
Yeah,
With the trap
dude.
sound.
Future could be up there, bro, but then he's a branch of Wayne too.
Yeah.
The whole lean sound and shit like that, like
Yeah, I think a lot
lazy
of these.
rapping.
Another honorable mention, but emphasis on honorable because I think these two guys, they don't necessarily influence just hip hop. Like they kind of have a broader influence, but I'm going Tyler and Travis.
Let's get into like less rigid guidelines and just say like who your personal Rushmore of like these are kind of like my four goats.
Okay. My four goats. So no.
Or I guess maybe for like we can keep the same criteria.
No, how about this? Look, if we phrase, what if we phrase it this way? Like, if you were to say, I don't know, you wanted to fill somebody in on hip hop, like just from your personal like perspective, and you're like, these four dudes, in my opinion, represent hip hop as a whole for me.
Oh, okay.
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Just like
that.
these are the guys that I think you should listen to. Then that'll give you an idea of where hip hop's been for like my lifetime.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
You know what I
damn.
mean?
Okay. That's a little bit more tough. You want to start?
Yeah, if that's the case for me, I'm definitely going Kanye. I think that'd probably be the first one, just sonically.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where I have to go.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm definitely gonna throw in Kendrick. I'm definitely that's where it gets a little tough. Because I think I have a 5, and it's gonna be, I just have to figure out who I'm gonna leave off.
It's crazy though, dude, because like there's eras, right? Like when I was first discovering hip hop and I was like getting crazy into it, like when I was in middle school or whatever, it probably would have been Biggie, Pac. Yeah, okay.
Well, because if I'm just talking about like my lifetime, when I got
Like
into
in
hip hop,
total.
it was like 08, and that's when the Carter 3 was out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I guess my personal influence on rap, like who would be my like founding fathers of my love for rap, it's probably like Kid Cudi, Kanye, Wiz Khalifa, and yeah, Pac, I would say. Those are like the people that like because of them I started to listen to rap so much.
well, if I'm going based on like the kind of that wavelength, then my first person on that list is gonna be Wayne.
Yeah.
I didn't start loving hip hop until I listened
Until
to
Wayne, yeah.
And I think Kendrick solidified like, yeah, I love this shit. So I think those two have to be on my list. And then I think Kanye.
Who am I kidding though, dude? Drake's got to be up there too.
No, I know that. Well, that's what I was saying. I was like, so I definitely had.
Yeah, I'm
Wayne,
kind of bugging for that.
Wayne,
like,
Kendrick, and Ye on it, and the last two choices for me were either in between Drake. Drake was I'm not gonna cap. Drake is was gonna. It was him or, and even though I don't listen to him as much, but I just feel like you can't talk about the last couple years of hip hop without talking about Future.
yeah. Yeah, that's true.
You know, that's where the tough one was for me. But you can't talk about it without Drake.
We were tripping too on the pushing the genre forward, but we were just going based off old dudes, huh? That's why we didn't think of Drake.
More like on a foundational.
You could also put Drake as Lincoln.
He could also be the consistency as well.
Yeah, like he could be hip hop Abe Lincoln for sure. Damn, it's hard, bro. Cause then that's what I mean about eras. It's like when I first started listening to rap. If I'm judging based on that, that would have been my lineup. The whole like Pac, Cudi, whatever. But then like throughout more the course of my life, the people I always went back to were Drake, Kanye, Kendrick, Cole.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I have to just narrow it down to
It's a
4
loaded
dudes,
one,
bro.
dude, to 4 dudes. Yeah, I mean, it gets you thinking though. It gets you realizing like how many people. It's cool to like look at rappers like from like a stat perspective. You know, like what did you bring to the game, not just to like my own enjoyment of your music or whatever. It's like what did you bring to the table for like everything at large, like past, future, present. You know, I think it's cool to look at shit in that way.
There's one thing that I didn't like that came out of the whole Drake Kendrick thing was like the emphasis on numbers again, you know.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
like this sold this much and this sold this much.
Especially when it doesn't matter anymore.
It doesn't.
You know,
it really
like
doesn't.
it mattered back in like 50 Cent's day when 50 Cent was fucking pushed. Like 50 and M are like 2 of the most selling hip hop artists of all time, and that's when it really mattered. Like
the days of physical copies
people were
too,
going and buying your product. Like now it's like, okay, I could stream a song all day, you know.
Yeah, literally.
But like that shouldn't count toward sales, I guess, you know.
You could have some weirdo fans who are just running your album back for like every hour they're awake.
Well, and a lot of people just buy bots and shit, dude. You know, a lot of these labels are buying bots for their fucking people. So, all right, well, let us know what you think.
Yeah, who's your route?
This is probably the whitest shit you've ever heard, but that's how I feel, man. So deal with it.
The most Hispanic shit you ever heard.
You're like Wayne, fucking Lil Rob.
Who's the Mount Rushmore for the Mexicans? Real quick, rapper Mount Rushmore for the Mexicans.
You gotta have Lil Rob on there, right?
I'm definitely going.
No?
Nah, new generation.
Oh, okay.
I think Travis Scott is like number 1 on the list.
Yeah.
Travis Scott. I remember that was such a great tweet once. It was like Travis Scott's like Michael Jordan for the Mexicans.
Yeah, dude. Him and Goku.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They go crazy.
Oh my god,
they
go crazy in Mexico. I'm definitely going Travis. I think Kendrick has a pretty massive Hispanic following too.
Yeah, I would say so too. You gotta throw YG in there.
Oh yeah, YG. Yeah. And then 4. I'm probably going like. That's good, huh? Who would be 4, bro? I would maybe think like. Yeah, Travis is undisputed number 1. Though.
Yeah, Travis. Yeah, definitely Travis.
And Kendrick might even be. You might have to throw YG in before Kendrick, actually.
Yeah, Travis, YG.
And
I feel like Kendrick is debatable.
Kendrick is in there. I just can't think of any. If we're okay, who do you think has more Hispanic fans, Tyler or Kendrick?
Kendrick for sure.
Tyler, nah, bro. There's a lot of like all kids that are big fans of Tyler.
Yeah, true, but
No, I would definitely go Kendrick though. You're correct. Probably Future, maybe Future. Future is just for everybody.
I
bro.
feel like Drake too, bro. Drake is definitely up there. It's Travis.
Oh, for the girls, yeah.
Travis, Drake.
For the Latinas. Dude.
YG. All right.
MGK.
All hits, baby. Come back. Let us know. Mount Rush. Hey.